Hello, class. Welcome to another lesson. This is Art 101. I'm your professor, as always, Professor Bobo. And today's lesson will be broken down into three distinct sections. Firstly, we will be doing a short still life drawing. And it's really one of the fundamentals. This is a building block on art. I think you'll find that every true artist is able to capture the essence of the still life. Secondly, we will be doing a demonstration of form. It's always good to have some figure drawing in, because we often like figures. This is just the truth. This is in our very nature, in our blood. And then finally, we will be finishing it off with self-portraits. I will be doing mine on video, as always. And I expect all of you to have your assignments turned in by Friday. And I would like to see a reasonable amount of effort put into these. So with that, I suppose we should begin. Please open in your editing software, and create a new file. I like to do the letter format. It's a good standard format, but I like to go into the advanced options. Make the pixel count a little higher. Lets you capture a little more detail. Don't go crazy with it, right? Because I don't want to max out your computer, right? I just got a little warning. That's okay. It's only a little bit over. Alright, I would like everyone to pull up figure 1, which should be in your assignment folder. And I like to start with a sketch layer to get in the rough details before really moving on to the intricacies. Now this is supposed to be the shortest of the three drawings. This is the warm-up. I know I've had you draw these in the past, but I think you'll find that, repetition, practice, is what really separates the masters from the amateurs. I have a second screen on my computer, but for those of you that don't, feel free to pull it up on a phone or any other device and just set it next to you. Okay. Now I'm ready to begin. Now for this, it's very important to just get in the general shape. So we're going to start on the left side. I usually find it's easier to start at the bottom of the piece. Do a nice curve, follow the arch, and it comes to a nice little point up here. you'll find that to something of a curve. It has this one. This one. This one has a little notch in it. Something that adds its own distinct style. Each one of these has its own intricacies, and that's really what we want to capture. You can see that there's a little bump here as well. It's got a notch there. There's some coloration here that we will add detail to as well as up here. This is truly like one of the staples of art. This is a image that I know all of you recognize. It is a deeply held part of our culture, and it's simply just a good idea to be able to master this. Okay, and there's a little bit of a tip. A little bit of a tip at the end. But this one, not very defined. Not very defined. That's okay. You can see there's a little bit of coloration here. We'll add detail to that. Some speckling along the bottom. Excellent, excellent. We all know that these have ridges. I'm sure I have taught you enough, and that is just part of your basic understanding. But I repeat things. I'm going to repeat things just to drill it in. I don't want you to forget. Okay. I think we've done a good job with the sketch. I might make a little more definition to this specific part. There's more of an arch than I had originally drawn, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay, that's why this is the sketch layer. And there's a tad bit more of a bump here. Just a bit. Okay, excellent. Now we should move on to a new layer. Again, this is going to be the fastest of the three drawings, so we're not going to spend too long on this. Okay. So what I like to do from here is I take the opacity layer and really just make it a little more dull. So we can see what we did, but we don't let it inform our decisions too much. Right? It's important to keep the reference image in mind. That's really what we're going off of, and we're using our sketch image mostly as just guiding lines. But if you can see here, oh, I apologize, I'm on the wrong layer. This really goes in a little bit more. Before finding its way up. And this is really a separate part over here. Yes, excellent. It kind of finds a point here. So instead of a nice smooth curve there, we're going to just take it to the right. Ooh, the left, excuse me. Cardinal directions, not my strong suit. We take this up and then straight down before it reaches another angle. This is relatively straight, a little bit of a bump here, and then we go straight down before there's a second bump and it reconnects. There's some discoloration here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a line to denote that, as well as along the top here, and this angle. Excellent. Excellent. Alright, this is where it becomes a really smooth transition here. This is one, we should really be trying to capture this in one gesture. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We're zooming in. One gesture. Good, good. Okay, now we've approached the part where it's really going to start bending. And as you all know, most of these bananas, unless you intentionally defile them, make them unholy, have nice, smooth features. And that's really what we're capturing here. Later in the class, we will discuss the defilement of bananas in art, but for now, we're going to keep it pure. I'm going to have you all remember when we get to that lesson that we're all adults here. This is a college level course, and we're here to learn, to see new things. You're welcome to excuse yourself if you are uncomfortable seeing such a landmark defile, but that's not going to prevent us from doing our work, from learning. Okay, I think we have a nice smooth angle going on here. Yes, yes, okay. We're just going to carry this over. I'm going to zoom out to make sure it looks okay, to make sure it's following general shape. Yes, I believe that will do. Yeah, looking back at the reference image, I'm seeing it come together. Okay, so we carry on. Continue the line. And this is where we start really seeing it go up. I'm going to double check. I'm going to bring us back out. See where we are. Oh, yes. See, looking back at my original sketch, in the reference image, I'm seeing that I had neglected the curve. This curve gets a lot steeper, a lot faster. So really, I think I'm going to have it end around here. Something like that. We don't want to disrespect this banana. And then we really finish the curve out up here. Now we're going to examine how it comes to a point here. Make note the angle of the point, how thick the stub is, and I'm noticing one other thing that I would like to capture. It levels out just a little bit. Just a little bit. And we need to preserve that before taking a pretty sharp angle and going to the right. Now this is going to be a little complicated because as you can see in the reference image, there is simply a lot going on this end. You know, we're used to seeing a defined endpoint of a banana, and this one doesn't conform to that. Nature had different plans. So we're going to follow the contours. It's a little bumpy. It's a little bumpy. Do a second bump. Intriguing. And finally, it ends with just a little crest. Now, all of this is denoted by a separate color. We're not working in colors today. That's for a future lesson. But we are going to denote that this is just richer, that it functions differently from the rest of the banana. It goes up like this. Okay, and then it kind of has a little protrusion right here. There's also a little bit of speckling. And we see here that it follows a specific angle until about the first speckle. And then it takes a pretty dramatic turn. And it decides to give us a little bump. Just a little bump. Like this. Fascinating. Fascinating what nature had intended for this banana. It's simply beautiful. The banana starts to level out. It goes down a little bit, but then really conforms to back to where our original sketch was. And if any of you don't feel comfortable going off your original sketch, feel free to go back and change it. I just feel relatively confident that I can follow the essence. And I'm certain most of you can as well. As I'm sure most of you know the shape of a banana as well as you know your own reflection. There we go. Excellent. And we bring it all back together. Okay. Let's remove our sketch. Excellent. It looks a little off, but if you look at the contours of our drawing and the contours of the reference image, you'll find that they're fairly similar. Once we add the further details, you'll be able to see going forward that these are the correct decisions that we've made. I think it's important to have a little confidence here in your own work. You see, oftentimes it doesn't really come together until you near the finish line. And what I'm hoping to teach you is when something needs to be corrected immediately and when you need to have faith in yourself. And even though this looks off, I think you'll find the finished product comes out nicely. Okay. We're going to finish this off very quickly. This one is supposed to be the shortest of our three drawings, leaving more room for us to spend the detail on them. So we're going to add a new layer here. A detail layer. And from here, we're going to reduce our brush size a little bit so we can capture all those little details. So if we really zoom in into this top here, we can see that there's a lot of notches, a lot of them, mostly following this contour. These all kind of connect here and then come to a point at the top. And this one has a little bump. Two little notches underneath it. And follows left. This has a little notch that comes to an angle and down. And there's a bunch of really small ones beneath it. This comes to the right and then up, which we've already captured, but on top of that, there's also a very small one that goes down. Now we're going to spend a little more detail on the sides, along the top. We're going to start just by doing some checking. Really convinced that it's a little rougher here and a little darker. Oh yes, much better. So we're going to do that, and the bottom one kind of continues on, almost connecting to that. Giving a sense of uniform. Oh, I'm sorry, students, I'm not an English professor. I am Professor Vars. What is that word? When something is uniform? I simply do not know. I apologize for my failings. We're not perfect. Much like this banana. We embrace imperfections, and that's really what makes all of us perfect. We can see that there is also a discoloration in this section that we had originally marked off. So we're going to just fill that in, make sure that it's known that it's there, and it kind of bleeds a little bit into the pure banana part. Just a little bit. So we're going to capture that. Ah, yes. Okay. And then from here, we're going to fill in this a little bit. There's like just kind of a wave pattern. Gentle waves following along this curvature. We're just going to put it in where it's more dense, have more of them, lighten it up when there's less. And here there's a little bit of discoloration, so we're just gonna fill it in. Excellent. I'd call that a pretty stellar banana tip. From here, we can see that there's a little bit of a notch, a little bit, and one here as well. And this is where we start to see the banana contour. Interestingly, there's only one major one on this banana. And it's not super well defined. But it starts at almost halfway, a little bit to the left. But as it goes further along the banana, it reveals itself to really be following the contour of the banana top. So we want to make sure that at all times it, it aligns more closely with the top of the banana than the bottom. I'm not really liking the way this line's coming out, so I'm going to go back and undo some of it. We're going to zoom out so we can see more of it. I'm trying to create more of a natural curve. Excellent. And here we're really going to pull up. That's looking a lot better. That's looking a lot better. And you can see it follows the bumps at the end of the banana, but it kind of disappears. So we're going to have a hint that it like goes up here a little bit to follow this bump. But we're just going to leave it hanging right at the end. Give a little suspense. Like that. Excellent. Excellent. Now we're going to follow along to the back of the banana because that's where most of the coloration is. Some little dots. Follow along here. And as we start to reach the bottom, there's a bit more coloration, but not a lot. So we're going to represent that with hatches. It follows the bottom for a little bit and then kind of pulls up before it disappears. There's some speckling right here. As well as some very light speckling at the top. We can see around this point there's a bit more coloration at the bottom. Again, we're gonna just hint at the idea of it with hatches. You can kind of see the grain of the banana following this curve at this point, so we're going to do some very light lines. Again, just to get across that there is a grain. There is a grain here. You can see the texture. It continues a little further up, but it's lighter. Now we return back to the top. There's actually a pretty heavy speckling right here. It's only in one isolated location, but make sure you really hammer home that this part has some speckles. And there's a couple down here, but not nearly as heavy. And you can see right as it starts to become the tip of the banana, right here, there's some speckling. Try to not make it too uniform. We want to capture the naturalist look. There's also a little bit of fraying because of the... Maybe someone put a little pressure on this. And there you have it. The first part of our lesson is complete. We've completed our still life. And from here, we'll take a brief recess and we will move on to the next lesson, the figure drawing. So please bear with us, and I will prepare the next document. I've returned. I decided to have a quick snack between lessons. All this drawing of a banana made me feel like I really needed to connect with the art, you know? Which meant it was time for lunch, in essence. Okay, so let's save this file. Now, be sure to save it your first name underscore class 3 underscore D1 for drawing 1. Okay? Then when you're ready, you upload the file. So we'll save this and close it out. Create a new file. We're going to use the same settings. That's okay. Now, before we begin this next lesson, I would like to point out that this is a figure drawing, and we will be drawing the female form. So, the men in the class, I would like you to all calm down. Now, I'm going to pull up the picture. Just give me one moment. Mm-hmm. Oh. 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 Pardon me. Excuse the outburst. Now, I'd like to reiterate, I know I've said this before, but there's nothing overtly sexual about the female form. I'd like us to all be under control this class, and I don't want to see anything too gratuitous. This is about the art. So we will be starting with just this quick sketch to get out the basic form. So looking at this, we have a set of shoulders right here. We gotta leave room for a head, so we're gonna quickly just sketch it out. That's a head. She has a neck. And her shoulders are slanted. So we gotta capture the slant. Her torso is kind of going to the stage left. Her right, but stage left. She has hair. Naturally, we should get in the basic shape of that. Her left arm sticks out a little bit. Goes to around here before coming back. Doesn't really connect. She kind of moves her wrist. And then her hand connects like this. Not really touching much of her body. Our right, her left stays a little closer. More goes down and a little bit to the right. And again, her wrist does something interesting here. This is roughly where her hips are. So, see her shoulders and her hips facing opposite directions. Her leg kind of sticks out in this direction. And her other leg tries to compensate and head back. That's a little far to our right. Like that. Her elbows around here. The perspective's a little weird on this. Her elbow's actually a little bit lower. This is her elbow. And then it comes forward. Okay. We have the basic sketch. So now we create a new layer for the detail layer. Or actually, sorry, I skipped a step. The base layer. Where we use what we have and we start to add in the details. Now, important note, often this mistake is made. The eyes, generally speaking, are in the center of the face. Gives you a good idea where to start. Eyes kind of have an oval shape. You want to capture that. And as well as this side. A little bit bigger. She's a very prominent eyebrow. So we're going to get that in there. Kind of comes down a little bit. As well as here. Really, you got a little bit up here. We don't want to add too much detail to this part because we're going to add more in a minute. But it really accentuates the eyes. Before coming back in. This is where you get to the nose. Kind of comes to a point here. A little bit of wrinkles. Just a couple. We're going back up. And all the way to the left. And it's a little bit higher on the right. Just like that. Comes down and kind of tapers off here. This is where we want to get the nostrils. Really excellent nostril form here. She really won the genetic lottery. Not much of a bridge. Just a hint of one. Excellent. Excellent. Here we're going to start to capture the mouth. Comes down from here. She has a gentle smile. It really stretches all across her face, which is a nice touch. Bottom lip. Or kind of tapering back off down here. Want to leave enough room so we can really get all that texture in. Really capture it. Nice, prominent chin here. Comes up. Little tufts of hair on this side. Little tufts. This one a little more groomed. A little more groomed. Still the occasional tuft. You want to capture that. Zoom in and capture those pupils. It's got a nice reflection right there. And on this side, a similar looking reflection. I think this one's really coming together. Little peak of veneer here. Peak of veneer. This is where we're going to start capturing that hair. It's big and wavy. There's a tuft. It kind of goes like this, back into itself. Kind of goes down and out, and back, as well as here. I think we really captured her gentle face. The hair really extends far on both directions, so let's zoom out a little bit so we can capture that. Comes in, and then back out. A little darker towards the center, so we're gonna add a bit more lines. A little bit of a clavicle right here. Then we'll tackle this side a little bit. Wavy. It stays wavy. Comes in and out. There's a couple strands out here. This also falls on her shoulder, but it's a little more uniform. Also darker towards her head. Alright, I'd say that's coming together. Maybe a little more, bit more volume up here. Okay. From here we get to our shoulders. These stay nice and uniform. It's got a bit of a shirt here. Okay, this is where her bone is, so it's a little angular before coming back around. From here, you start to see the fingers and the knuckles. Accentuate these fingers a little bit. That's a little too long. Look a little weird, but they'll come together when we have all the details in. It's a good looking hand. Very natural. I think it's important to remember that hands really are a collection of angles. You want to think of it as like a square with a bunch of rectangles coming out of it, because they really are more angular than you think they are. Okay, so now we'll come to this arm, which sticks out a little bit more than the one I gave her. That's why we have the sketch, so we can make corrections. Okay, coming together, coming together. For this hand, we want to do something similar. You really want to accentuate the fingers. Again, important to remember, they're just a series of angles. Important to get all those creases in there. Starting to add a little detail to the shirt. I drew the arm a little too far out, but again, it's important to, when you're really going in and adding the details, take a look at what's important. Now we're out of the sketch phase. So we have to finalize our decisions here. I think this is really coming together. Again, really naturalistic hands. I think if you look at your hands and you look at these hands, you're going to be like, wow, those be some hands. I think this might have to come in a little bit further. It's a little far out. Okay. I'd say this came out more or less successful. I'm going to grab another quick water, but then I will be back to come in and add the details. I apologize for the delay. There were some things that needed some tending, you know? I probably shouldn't get into it. It would be unprofessional. You're my students. It was my day with my son. Is the answer. Short answer. Okay. So I think we're ready. I think we're ready to move on. I think we have a lot of base details in here, and we got to get to some finer details. Reduce the brush size a little bit. Start adding in the features. So as we all know, really the important part of the face is to get those wrinkles correct. They're really the defining characteristic of a face. You can follow along with the reference image that I provided. And just make careful note of where each line is. Because you'll find that this is really what makes someone distinguishable. Oops. Just pay attention to every little line because it's important. This is where you really capture the face. You can see that we have a deep crevice right here. It's actually difficult to capture using just lines. So we're going to try to capture everything but the crevice. So there's a line here, a line here, line here, line here. That's where the crevice begins and ends. There's a little bit of a bump in the middle. A bit leaning into the eyebrow right here. Important to capture that. And as you can see, it's starting to come together. Starting to come together. Whoops. So we're going to try to add a little bit of detail to the eyes. You can see, like right there, there's a bit of the gunk. There's a little bit of a crow's foot right there. And on the other side, there's less so, but there's still a little bit. And you can kind of follow along the bottom. I don't really like how that turned out, actually. It looks too teary. It's not what I was going for. From here, there's only little wrinkles on the nose. It's a pretty smooth nose. From here, there's a little bit of a wrinkle, as well as this one. Some small wrinkles coming off the bottom of it. But really what's going to be important is capturing the small wrinkles in the base of the nose before it really disappears inside, like that. There's a bit of a wrinkle that comes up here. And a different one that kind of cross stitches through it. And on this one, there's like a little guy right there. And a small thing. And here we have some like spots for whiskers. So we're going to do little dots. I think that's pretty good. Now we got to capture the lips. So really we're going to have to connect these a little bit. Kind of build out the shape with the creases that are naturally there. Put in some more spots for the whiskers. And I think we've done it with the face. Time to add the hair. And this one is more about the feeling. You want to just look at the natural flow in the reference image. That's what we're trying to get. The natural beauty, the femininity. It does lead to the tufts at this side. Make note of that. But it kind of naturally just follows the curve of her face. You can see hairs start to bleed in a little bit here. Which is why I did a dotted line at the beginning. So you have room to show both the hairs and the definition of the face. Get the best of both worlds. But from here, the hair kind of goes up, if you notice. It's not till it reaches here does it start really getting minute again. Up here, it's like big and bold. You really want to capture that. Here I'm not using the reference too much. You still want to glance back and forth, but it's really about capturing the feeling of the hair. Yeah, just like that. Just like that. And we want to basically mirror what we did on the right side with the left here. It's very similar. Very similar. Naturally follows this face. It doesn't even come so much to a tuft as it did on the other side. And it comes to a chin where you want to display that well manicured point that they have. Yeah, that's truly excellent. Okay, so now we're going to go into this section of their hair and really just follow the same principles. See how their hair naturally falls. This is a little more wavy. We want some wavy lines in there. We'll do the same with the other side. Remember to get the general feel of the hair more than necessarily any individual detail. It has to feel right. And don't be afraid of like throwing a few loose strands here and there. We don't want them to look disheveled, but they're just apes like us. Imperfections are part of perfection. Ah, yes. Okay. I think we really captured that. And the important thing to know, A, is that yes, our hands are a bunch of rectangles. Important to remember that. But they're really bumpy, you know? Have you ever looked at our hands and go, wow, we got objectively wrinkly hands? So you really gotta capture how wrinkly the hands are. Kind of tapers off over here a little bit. Still wrinkled. Definitely still wrinkly. Definitely still a lot of wrinkles down here, but not as prominent as up here. So you really got to make sure you add a lot of wrinkles to your hands. Don't forget, we got a little tuft of hair right here. We got some tufts of hair. Important distinction. Can't forget about the thumb. It's kind of hiding behind the body here. But that's also got some wrinkles. Yeah, much better. See how much more realistic that hand is now? Feels more like it belongs. So now we gotta do it with the other side. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. And again, I'm not even using the reference too much because it's more about getting the correct feeling for the hands, you know? Pretty gnarly wrinkle right here. Gotta accentuate that. Of course, it's a beautiful wrinkle. Beautiful. Just like all our wrinkles are. I still think could use a little more detail. There we go. Much better. Much better. Yeah, I think we can add a little bit more detail to over here. She's got some skin. We make some natural folds here. A little bit right here. Not much. Same with this side. There's kind of like a little crease that goes from here all the way to here, and this is kind of a fold. Oops. It's another crease along this way. These are some creases down here. Probably should add some smaller ones near them to just really say, hey, these are creases in the shirt. Yeah, and with that, I think we've done it. I think we've done it. I'd say that's a pretty accurate and realistic figure drawing. Again, we're not working too much on shading this session. More texture, more detail. Shading will come in another lesson. Then colors. You gotta work with lines and then shading because in nature, really, life doesn't work with lines. This kind of goes too far up. Let me go back to the base and we'll get rid of some of this. And this isn't bad, it's just not clear that whoops. That this is part of the dress, because I didn't finish the line. There we go. Much more clear. Okay. Excellent work, students. Excellent work. Okay, remember your name, then class 3 underscore D2 for the figure drawing, because it's the second drawing. Alright. Thank you, everyone. Now we only have one more drawing to accomplish, and that's the self-portrait, which is similar to a figure drawing, but we're really only gonna. Well, the rules are a little looser with this one. It's however you want to express yourself, however you want to capture your own essence. The only rule is you have to use your own likeness. So however you want to express yourself. I'll show you what I'm going to do, but this is the most free form of the three activities, and feel free to really just let go. Just express how you want to express. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to be traditional. I'm going to use the same template, and I'm just going to, take a take a still shot that I've already taken and try to just copy it. So I just went to a mirror, I took an interesting angle, and that's really what I'm going to do. So I'm going to quickly create the sketch layer. And again, this assignment, you're allowed to be a little more playful, experimental. I won't be doing that, but just make sure you use a reference image of yourself and it's clear that you're doing that. We're gonna start blocking things in. So that's my eyebrow line. Got a bit of a ridge here. It goes down before meeting my mouth. It's my lips, nostrils, nostril ridge. We'll zoom in a little bit. Got a cheekbone there. Eye here. And of course, another eye on the other side. This mostly stays straight, but it juts out a little bit for right there before coming in. There's a natural crest right here. I got some hair. My ear is right here. And of course, my distinctive monocle. And top hat. You can't forget the top hat. So the brim kind of goes like that. And I got a little bit of my arm here. And my other arm on that side. Got my neck. And I'd say that's a pretty good roughing out. I have a little bit more of a mischievous smirk than I'm giving myself credit for, though. I have to. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I saw myself in the mirror, I was like, that's a pretty good looking ape right there. Still got it, bud. Still got it. I keep, shrinking down my brush size a little bit, so I'm gonna bump it back up. And we're gonna move the sketch opacity down again. So we have more visibility of what we're doing. So, right from the get-go, I'm gonna begin with the eyes. Ooh, I'm in the wrong layer. Gotta switch back to the body layer. Getting a little closer in on my reference image. I obviously have not included a reference image for this one because the reference image is one you gotta take yourself. You got a pupil here. That's a little further to the left. It's got a little bit of a glare right here. Fill that in a little bit. And we're going to go to the other eye. We're just going to do, some broad strokes first. This one's a little more obfuscated by shadow. And while we're not covering shadow in this particular lesson, we'll begin that next week. Uh, we do want to capture that it's a little harder to see what's going on this side. A little bit. Here we start running into like a little bit of my nose. It's a very attractive wrinkle right there. Very attractive. It's one of my favorites. This one has a smaller glare, only a little one. There we go. We'll move on to my nose. It's a distinctive little line that comes out here. Comes on right on up. Right on up here. All the way back around. This isn't even my nose part yet. This is directly above it. For the purposes of this, I will include the reference image just so you can follow along with what I'm doing. But obviously, I would not expect your self-portrait to be of me. Okay, excellent. It's a bit of a ridge right here. And comes up. It kind of separates a little bit right there. Just a little. However, on this side, it stays pretty consistent. Goes past the nostrils. Once it reaches like the bottom of the nostril, it like starts to go down again. Before it really just commits and makes it to the end of my face. The nostrils themselves, there's a little bit of a crease right there in between my two nostrils. This one, behaves like this. Really circular, really elegant looking, really a delightful nostril. If in my completely unbiased, artistic opinion, a delightful nostril. Same with this one. Really just exquisite form. So from here you can kind of see the inside of my nostril. I have a deep cavity there. So we want that. We want to accentuate that part. On this side, not so much. Not so much. You can only see a little of the ridge. There we go. Okay, excellent, 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 excellent. Okay, and I have a pretty distinctive wrinkle that comes right here. Very unique. And then it comes and kind of follows around to this side of the ridge. Like that. As well as just like a little bump that comes right here. Yes, really, really a handsome looking monkey. Just an excellent specimen. You really want to sell the nose. So I have to, again, we're not working on shading. That's not this lesson. But that's a dark, right? We're allowed to do that. Just a little bit of texture work. Just some texture of darkness. Is it cheating a little bit? Yes. Yes, but, if you can convey texture in a way that also conveys tone. That's completely appropriate for this assignment. And it kind of just looks like this. Yeah, handsome. Handsome ape. Okay, and we'll clean up this side a little bit. We'll smooth it out. And it really does kind of come to a point and just go right back up. But here's the thing. That's not that's not really the curvature of my face. It's down here that's just a nice accent line. So to capture the curvature of my face, which I'm going to do in dashes again because again it's kind of a soft tapering off that connects with my hair. We'd have to go like this. Just like that. We really have some wrinkles to establish this. Yes. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, let's go back in to the nose area. Add some more wrinkles. Okay. There's a couple lines that go up here. Just a couple. And connects to my eye. Like so. Just like that. As well as just a line that follows along that. Yeah, it's coming together. It's coming together. It's kind of hard to see at the moment, but once it's all done, to complement this, there's like a little ridge that goes right there. And this kind of comes together more to point. Okay, so from here we're gonna do my eyebrow. Which kind of tapers off here and becomes hair. So gonna do this. There we go. Gotta get that defined ridge. More prominently straight. Angular. Like that. And a bit of a... Yeah. Yeah, just like that. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, and then here we start to have some hair reaching my face, so we pull it in a little bit. We pull it in. Just like so. Alright. Well, That kind of hides my cheekbones. My cheekbones extrude out a little bit and then we pull in. Yes, like that. Not, not even like that. It goes further down. It goes further down. Like that. Just like that. So from here, I think we go to the lips. So we'll pull this down a little bit. Try to make some natural purse of the lips. And we follow it along and we capture that nice little smirk. And you're like, what a nice little scamp this man is. What a beautiful display of apehood, you know? That's how I feel, at least, whenever I take a gander. Okay, from here, goes down, and we kind of go into our chin, which is a little actually higher up. There's a bit of a crease here. It goes like so. Okay, so from up here, we'll do a little bit of hair work. This is where it really begins, the hair. A little frizzy up top, a little mischievous. Before getting manicured right down here. Why do you know that while I know how to groom myself, I'm okay being a little wild, you know? It's really all about the personal expression. Okay, so from here we got a little tuft of hair right here. Just a nice little tuft. A little bit of a distinguished brow as well. But not enough of a wrinkling to know that I don't sweat the little things. I don't let things get to me. The tuft also heads in the other direction as well, just not as symmetrical. This is where we start rushing into that top hat. Right there. I I feel a bit naked, to be honest, to not have my monocle attached to me yet, but that's coming. That's coming. So from here, I'm going to follow these lines all the way to the top. And really just complete this. You get this little ribbon here. An important feature. Excellent. Excellent top hat. Okay. So from here, I think we start working on the hair on this side of my face, which kind of follows this wavy outer pattern below my ear, below my ear. It reaches a little bit of a point right here. Before coming back down. And then of course, along the side of my face it follows my contours. As any well-groomed ape would tell you, that is an absolute necessity. Then it starts coming back down this way. Before really coming to a head right here. That's where all the hairs are coming. And then really going back this way as well. Yes, very nice. Very nice. Alright, now we'll tackle the ear. My ear's actually a little more spherical than I originally drew it. You know, it was just the sketching phase. It's just to block out where things go. Just a cute little ear. It kind of curves back a little bit. Just like that. Then we have the hair kind of falling naturally over it, going towards that crest that I pointed out earlier. And from here, I let the back of my head stay a little naturalistic. And here I'm not even really using the reference too much. Because again, it's all about the feeling that it's supposed to evoke. I have a big old tuft right here. Big old tuft. Fill in some of the hair while we're here. Yes, very distinguished. Very distinguished. Okay, from here I think I'm going to fill in that monocle. It's going to be important to put a little bit of texturing in there. Let people know it's not part of my face. It's a monocle. Just like that. Then, of course, the rings. Can't forget the rings. And as you can see, I'm drawing my rings a little bit smaller than my sketch. My sketch is just a guideline telling me how I want my rings to fall. I actually want them to come up right behind my ear. So they're going to hide a little bit here. Before making their way into the top hat. Like so. Really coming together. Really coming together. So from here, I'm going to draw this arm. Just a little recklessly hairy. Reckless. Yeah, I'm showing a bit of my wild side. What really gets to my pectorals. And of course, you can display yourself however you wish. I really enjoy the form, the ape form, which you could probably tell from my last assignment. I think it's really important to remember that we're all just apes. We're all just apes. This is my other arm. Let's uh let's define the back of my head a little further. Because it really starts taking a straight line this way. Yeah, just like that. Here's my neck as it comes down right there. And yeah, I think that just about does it. Obviously, I can go in and add more detail, but I want to be a reasonable professor. If you can get to this point, I'd assume you could spend a little longer and keep going in and adding more, bits and bobs, but this will do. So we're going to go ahead and save this. And remember, your first name, class 3, as this is the third class of the semester, D3, this is the third drawing of this assignment. Yeah, I really look forward to seeing all of your work going forward. Teacher's hours. If you're struggling with this assignment, I will be free on Thursday from 2 to 5 to answer any questions, give any feedback. So feel free to stop by. I'm happy to help. Putting in the effort into improving yourself really, makes people want to help you. It's always a good anecdote. If you're sat there and crying in front of a banana, being like, oh, I simply cannot peel it. This is a titanium banana. No one's going to help you. But if another ape sees that you're struggling opening that titanium banana, they'll stop. They'll stop and give you a hand. That's my life lesson for the day. Anyway, I look forward to seeing all your work, and I will see you all in class in Apeson on Monday. Good luck with the assignment.